Hi, I'm making tofu broccoli in garlic sauce, and I'm going to film it ASMR style, which is different than what I normally do on this channel, and my family is going to be confused, but I really like ASMR videos. I'll say it, I'm not afraid to say it. They're relaxing. I like to put them on while I work or when I'm trying to fall asleep, and I find them to be very relaxing. So I'm gonna shoot this tofu broccoli in garlic sauce recipe, ASMR style, and feel free to put it on in the background while you're doing something else, because the pace will not be as quick as my usual videos. So I hope you enjoy. Let's make this tofu broccoli in garlic sauce, which is really good, by the way. Okay, I'm going to begin by chopping up my broccoli, but before I do that, I thought it might be nice to rub their heads together and see how it sounds. Pretty nice. Now it's time to slice. We're going to cut our broccoli crowns into florets. I used to just throw the stems in the compost, but lately I've been saving them, and my fiance slices them up thin and puts them in salads. They taste pretty similar to a radish when they're raw and sliced thin. It does add a nice crunch to your salad, but personally I'm not a big fan of radishes, and the flavor doesn't quite do it for me. It's just a little bit too bitter for me at this time in my life. You can always slice the florets smaller than this if you wish. You just don't want them to be so small that they completely fall apart while steaming or fall through the holes in the steaming basket. I'm going to be steaming the broccoli in a stainless steel steaming basket on the stovetop today. Normally I would use my rice cooker, but it is currently busy making the white rice that I'm going to serve this tofu broccoli in garlic sauce on top of. You may also have noticed that one of these broccoli crowns has whiter stems than the other. I've read that this happens if the broccoli didn't get as much sunlight while it was growing. In my experience, it usually doesn't change the flavor of the florets. Okay, let's get started steaming these. Here's my pot. I put about an inch of water in the bottom there, and here's the aforementioned stainless steel steaming basket. After sliding that in so it hovers above the water, I'm just going to pile all of my broccoli florets into the basket. Let's get the lid on there, and then take it over to the stovetop to steam. Now I'm going to prep the garlic sauce. First, I'm pouring in a cup of vegan chicken broth. You could definitely also use vegetable broth if you prefer. I'm going to add a reduced sodium soy sauce to the broth, and we're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. Next, I'm adding sherry vinegar for some acidity. We're going to add 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons of the sherry vinegar. Now I'm adding maple syrup. I never claimed that this garlic sauce was healthy, by the way, but it is delicious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tablespoons of maple syrup. But we're not done yet. Next, I'm adding sesame oil, but we're only going to add 1 teaspoon of this. Now it's time for our spices. I'm going to add a whole bunch of red pepper flakes. You could add more or less depending on how much heat you like. I usually just eyeball it, but I'd say start with a teaspoon and adjust from there. I'm adding paprika next. And again, I'm just going to eyeball it, but it's probably about a teaspoon. Finally, we're adding cornstarch to this mixture, which will help thicken this sauce up when we cook it on the stovetop. I'm going to add 1 messy tablespoon of this to the sauce. And then another slightly less messy tablespoon. And now let's clean this up. And whisk it all together. And what a mesmerizing sauce whirlpool we've created. Congratulations. But you might be thinking, where is the garlic in this garlic sauce? And here it is, we're doing it now. I'm using my handy dandy garlic press. And if you've never used one of these before, you just pop an unpeeled garlic clove into the little basket and press down. That's 1 garlic clove. Here's another one. And here comes a third. Into the basket and press. And now a fourth. And at this point, I've decided to pause and scrape my garlic into a nice little square shape. And now the 5th garlic clove. And if you thought that was the last one, I'm sorry, but here comes number 6. So here are 6 cloves of garlic, minced and ready to go. We'll come back to these in a minute. But first, tofu. Extra firm or firm tofu is best for baking and frying. This is firm tofu, and I pressed it to get the excess moisture out for about 45 minutes before this. Pressing tofu is super easy. Just wrap it in a towel or a couple of paper towels and set something heavy and flat on top to squeeze out the extra water. I normally use a cast iron skillet as my heavy flat thing. My goal here is to cut the tofu into nice and even 1 to 2 inch squares. And as you can see, it was going great, but then it all fell apart. But that's okay, we're pressing on and accepting the fact that these ones are a little smaller than their brethren. Here I am thinking much harder about where to slice this time. And look at that, it was worth taking those extra 3 seconds to think it through. Who knew? Now, in a large bowl, we're going to make a super simple batter to coat our tofu in. And the cornstarch is back on the scene. We're just going to add a tablespoon of this. Now I'm adding olive oil, beginning with just a tablespoon of this as well. I'm going to whisk to combine, and I'm starting to feel like this isn't enough olive oil, so I'm going to add more. That was my fiance whispering that it smells really good. And now this is probably just a little too much olive oil, but I'm going to roll with it. I could add a little more cornstarch, but honestly, I'm just not that worried about it. I'm going to dump all of the chopped tofu into the batter and mix it all together with my hands until the tofu is evenly coated. And once this is done, we're ready to bake our tofu. The oven has already been preheated to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to line this baking sheet with parchment paper. I'm going to individually place each little tofu square onto the baking sheet before baking for 30 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Now that the tofu is ready for the oven, let's finish making our garlic sauce. I'm adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil to this skillet. And turning the heat on medium before adding all of our minced garlic. I'm sauteing the garlic in the oil until it browns up a bit. This usually only takes a couple of minutes. And now your kitchen is really going to smell amazing. The fragrance of oil and garlic hits every time. Okay, and our garlic is looking good. It's just beginning to turn a nice golden brown color. So let's grab our sauce mixture, give it a stir, and then pour it into the pan. I'm going to continuously stir the sauce while it cooks so that it doesn't burn or clump up anywhere. And this is my favorite part of the recipe because while I didn't particularly enjoy studying chemistry in high school, watching the viscosity of the sauce change before my very eyes is pretty cool and satisfying. See it thickening up. Once this oil is all incorporated into the sauce and it's an awesome gooey texture, I'm going to take it off the heat and set it to the side. It's been 15 minutes since we put the tofu in the oven, so I've pulled it out and I'm going to flip over each of our precious little squares. They should be a nice golden brown color on the bottom now, and these are looking great. We just need to flip them over so that they cook evenly on both sides. And bonus points if you can remember to rotate the tray when you put it back in the oven too, just to cover all your bases, but I normally don't. If I wasn't making such a flavorful sauce, I probably would have added some spices to the batter we coated these in. But the garlic sauce is going to give us plenty of flavor on its own, and I don't want the tofu squares to be competing with it. Back into the oven they go for another 15 minutes. And I'm happy to report that our broccoli has steamed. So once the tofu is done baking, we're ready for plating. First, I'm going to add a healthy dollop of white rice to each bowl. Then I'm going to add the broccoli, and the tofu, which came out beautiful. Honestly, if I wasn't filming myself, I probably would have just shoveled it on there, but in this cinematic universe, I'm daintily adding it a scoop at a time. And now for the main event, our gorgeous garlic sauce. I'm so pleased with how it came out. The consistency and the color are super appetizing, in my opinion. I would love to take a bath in this sauce. And here's the finished product. This is such a hearty and delicious meal. If you're craving Chinese takeout and you want something super fresh, I highly recommend giving this a try. Let me know if you want more ASMR cooking videos, and thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go devour this now. Bye.